Hello Libra, welcome to your April 2017 astrology reading. Thank you for joining me, and this is for Libra Sun, Moon and Rising sign. I'm going to start off with just a bit of a general overview because we've got 4 planets going retrograde, and then I'm going to go into dates after that. So your ruling planet is still going retrograde. So Venus is retrograde until the 15th of April. And you're being asked to let go of the past in terms of love, because Venus is in your 7th house. She does move into your 6th house, and that's on the 3rd of April. You're asked to look at anything that you might need to let go of to do with love and relationships, maybe past hurts or past relationships, or maybe people, situations that you might have hung on to that stopped you from experiencing love and relationships as you wanted to. You might have been feeling a little bit withdrawn on an emotional level, maybe not so much your usual self, but that's okay because you're using this time to just review and go through things. We've also got Saturn, which is going retrograde in Sagittarius, and this is in your 3rd house. So I see this as your attitude towards relationships, because you might be starting to look at like your broader outlook when it comes to relationships, the things that you think, your attitudes and how they affect your relationships. Have they been allowing you to be yourself and to trust and to open up? So that could be something that's coming up for you in that respect. Mercury also goes retrograde, and Mercury goes retrograde on the 9th of April or the 10th, depending where in the world you are. And so this Mercury retrograde, this is going to be in your 8th house. It starts off in your 8th house and then goes into your 7th house and of Aries. And so with this Mercury retrograde, obviously don't sign anything, don't commit to anything if you can help it, and just, communication breakdowns, those kinds of things are likely to happen. But I think very much so for you, definitely don't be signing any contracts, because it's in the 8th house. That can be to do with legal matters. So really try and steer clear of that, and maybe do the research. If there's anything that financially you're going through or legally that you're going through, really do your research. And it's a good time to make sure that when it comes to like finalisation, you've got all the details, all your information. So it can be good for kind of like for researching and then with a view to bringing something to an end in that regard. And Pluto will be going retrograde at the end of the month. Sorry. And that's in Capricorn, in your 4th house. And so Pluto, is requiring a change from all of us. It's requiring some sort of transformation and a release of something in order for us to get more of what we want. And so in your 4th house, I'm wondering if it's to do with the past. Maybe you'll be looking at how your upbringing or how your past, how your family life has affected your relationships. Maybe what patterns developed as a result of your past and of family conditioning, things like that. And maybe there'll be something to let go of there and to transform so that you can actually have the love and experience the love that you want, because quite often in childhood we get examples of love that are less than ideal, and so there may be something that you look at to do with that. There might be something to heal and to transform there. So that's about the retrograde planets. I'm saying the same to everybody. This month is about spring cleaning. I think that we can do some really valuable work this month to get clear on what it is we want, what it is we need. And for you, it's very much in the area of relationships and letting go of anything that's been holding you back there. And you are a relationship sign at the end of the day. You like balance, you like harmony, you like people. And so this is asking you, because it's so important to you as well, this is asking you to just clear up anything surrounding relationships and one-on-ones that's been holding you back in any way, so that you can have the relationship that you want, regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not. So I'm just going to give you a few dates now. So on the 3rd of April, we've got your ruling planet, Venus, and she's going to be entering Pisces. So she's going where you've been thinking about relationships and maybe doing some reviewing of like how past relationships have served you and whether they lived up to your expectations, whether they were that fulfilling. Now you're going to be looking at what you do, what you give, you know, and this is more like thinking about like how can I be of service to the world in some way, or if there's anything in terms of career or just any dreams you had, you know, in terms of what you'd be doing for work or with your life. They might kind of come back to you now, and you might start considering them and thinking about them. You might also want to, you might be feeling like you want to get involved in some sort of project or community involvement or cause that gives back, thinking about some sort of quite selfless action, selfless service. So that could come up for you there. On the 6th, we've got Mars in Taurus. So Mars is in your 8th house, and that is trining Saturn in Sagittarius. So with Mars and Taurus trining Saturn in Sagittarius, you know, I'm wondering if there's something that you might start to see clearly in terms of like I said, patterns you've had, and you know, areas in which you've given your kind of, areas in which maybe you've given your power away in relationship, in intimate relationships. There might be some sort of insight into that. You might be seeing the bigger picture as to like how what happened caused, you know, like cause and effect basically is what I'm trying to say. So that could be quite interesting. You might be driven to kind of research or go into the depths of something on this day, so that you have a clearer idea and a better knowledge of why it happened. I mean, it could be to do with your finances as well, to be honest. It could be to do with your finances. It could be that you're looking at your finances and any legal matters, anything like that, and you really are feeling driven to kind of get everything ironed out so you know where you stand. It could be something like that. On the 8th is when Mercury turns retrograde. So, you know, I talked about that. Definitely try not to sign anything if you can help it, but a really good time to research, you know, anything to do with your finances, anything to do with legal matters, anything like that. Even like in-depth kind of psychology, anything like that, matters that you want to look into to do with yourself, you know, you might get some clarity on that. On the 11th, we've got a full moon in your sign, and that's conjunct Jupiter. And this is a really nice full moon because you've been focusing a lot on other people and on relationships, you know, and so this is about you. And now you're thinking and you're kind of feeling like, how can I grow? What can I experience? How can I kind of step outside of my normal boundaries on an emotional level? Because I'm really getting the sense that you're starting to see now maybe where you've held back in relationship, and maybe start to see how that deprived you, as well as the other, or maybe you more so than the other. When we hold back, we often think that we're depriving other people, but quite often we're depriving ourselves. So on the 11th, there might be a feeling of like, right, you know, I feel confident enough to go out of my comfort zone emotionally and to expand and to get out there. And you might be feeling very good and quite warm and quite generous and quite open to people on this day. And so that's really nice. On the 14th, we've got Sun, and that's conjunct Uranus in your 7th house of Aries. And I feel like this is a day when you're just, if you've got a partner, you might just be wanting to just go off and have an adventure somewhere, or something unexpected could occur in relationship that just kind of takes you by surprise. You could be surprised in quite a nice way. I mean, it's hard to tell with Uranus because it's kind of expect the unexpected, but you might be feeling a little bit like, I always think of the mad scientist when I think of Uranus. So you might be feeling like that kind of Uranian energy quite strongly, and and maybe even wanting to shake up your relationship in quite unusual ways. Or if you're single, maybe wanting to go somewhere that you wouldn't normally go, you know, to meet people. Maybe it's a speed dating thing, something you wouldn't normally do, and you're feeling quite like, yeah, I want to try something different. So it could be something like that. On the 17th, we have we have Venus in Pisces. So they're in your 6th house, and that's sextiling Mars in your 8th house. So where you might have been thinking about your dreams and your wishes, or even what you might be able to give to the world, some sort of service, something that you just want to, kind of making the world a better place. You might now kind of, this feeling could be very much amplified. You could be feeling quite generous and feeling really quite like, I really want to get involved in something. I want to change something. I really want to change some sort of cause and be a part of it. And that's quite a nice energy for you there. That was on the 17th, so on the 19th, the Sun then enters your 8th house. So this is going into that area of intimacy and depth psychology and research and anything that's held jointly, joint finances, so inheritances, taxes, that kind of thing. And so the Sun going in here might help shed some light on any matters that you hadn't been aware of before, and especially because we're talking about relationships, it might help shed some light on things that you didn't realise had been holding you back. You're going to be able to really look into and see with quite clear vision. You're going to be able to see under the surface of things. So whether that's on a personal level, or whether it's to do with anything like finances, anything like that, or whether it's researching something, it's a really good time if you want to research some kind of a job that you're thinking of taking, or a change in direction in terms of career. Really good time to be researching this, especially with Mercury retrograde there. But you're more interested in uncovering things now, and insights, valuable insights, light could be shone onto things that you maybe weren't aware of. So that's a positive. That's a real positive there. On the 20th is when Pluto goes retrograde in Capricorn, and so I spoke about that. Now, Scorpio naturally rules the 8th house, and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. So what I find interesting about this is because your Sun moving into your 8th house, which is on the 19th, and shining a light on things to do with, it's like deep psychology and the hidden things and how we are in our intimate relationships. And then Pluto going retrograde in your 4th house of home and the past and family. There might be a bit of a link between this. It could be the issues to do with your mother you could become aware of, and how that's affected your relationship, issues to do with family. There might be something to, like I said, to transform, to do with your past, and the Sun going into your 8th house will make it a lot easier for you to see what blockages there have been, or what kind of patterns there have been, or where maybe you've been holding back, and that kind of a thing. So that's on the 20th. We've also got Mercury then enters Aries. So did I mention that? I don't know if I did. So Mercury goes from the 8th house and then goes into your 7th house of relationships on the same day. So this really does speak to me about healing, like understanding what patterns of behaviour, what kind of what conditioning, what things you have brought to the table in relationships to do with the past. On the 21st, Mars enters Gemini, so Mars goes into your 9th house. So now you're going to be kind of wanting to expand, wanting to maybe get out there and travel. You might be wanting to learn something new, learn a new language. You might be thinking of higher education. And you'll be driven to, you want to grow. So this is quite nice and supportive, because if your natural drive is to grow, and at the same time you're doing these things to kind of to let go of the past, then obviously that leads to growth, so that's really great energy there, that supports that. On the 24th, where are we? Bear with me. Sorry. Okay, on the 26th, we have a new moon in your 8th house. So where you might have been looking at these issues to do with intimacy and relationships, and you've been wanting to grow, and you know, with that full moon in your 1st house conjunction Jupiter, you've been wanting to get outside of your comfort zone. It's almost like you're saying, I'm sick of having the same experiences, or I'm sick of not being really fulfilled on an emotional level, and I'm willing to put myself out there more. This new moon in the 8th house, it's like a fresh start. You know, it's like saying, okay, I'm ready to drop my defenses. I'm ready to drop my guard and really let people on an emotional level, in a much deeper way. And the thing is, you know, Libras, you are great at harmonizing. You're great with relationships. But, you know, something I've noticed with Libras in my life, they're lovely people and they're so concerned with harmony, but quite often they can be a bit mistrustful of really letting people in on a deeper level. So this is where now you might find that with all the work you've been doing, you're now willing to drop some of those defences, because you now see where they've come from, and you no longer want to live by them anymore. So it's very much about love and relationships for you this month, Libra. On the 28th, we've got Venus then re-entering Aries, going into that 7th house, going direct. So you've been doing all this work. You have this lovely new moon on the 26th, which goes, I'm going to drop my defences. I feel like I understand now why I've done what I've done or how I've behaved. And then Venus is going direct and re-enters Aries. And it's like you've done the work now. And now you're ready to get out there, you're ready to have fun, you're ready to flirt, you're ready to enjoy your partner and kind of come back to love with a renewed sense of self and a freer, bigger sense of self, you know, which isn't confined anymore by maybe past defense mechanisms. So it's a really lovely little journey, I think, that you're going on this month, and I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in a continuation of this reading, I am doing tarot readings on Vimeo videos, where I just look into, you know, just give you some further insights into the month. And if you want to purchase any of them, they're £2 per reading, and I'm doing them for all the signs, and you can just click the link below and that will take you to them. But other than that, have a wonderful, beautiful, healing month, Libra. I really feel like you're kind of just emerging anew in love, and I think that's really beautiful. So enjoy that. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.